Hey, we are back with another, I keep calling these sit and chats, I don't know, but I really like making them. A lot of you guys requested part 2 to the love lessons I once prayed for. If you haven't seen part 1, highly recommend you start there and then watch this. But I've got 5 more love lessons to share. Fun fact, I actually filmed this yesterday already, so I'm refilming this, and I hope that I dropped the gems that I dropped yesterday because I felt like that was such a good video, but we'll see what happens here today. Okay, got a list. You know I do, because I can really go off topic, so let's get into it. First one, loving someone takes a lot more than love. Maybe not a lot more, but it takes more than love. It's really easy to just be like, I love them. Like, they're just so great. I just feel so great. We're just so great. I love them so much. But like, love to me is like the tip of the iceberg. Like, there is so much underneath that. And I'm not saying love has to necessarily be hard, but there is a willingness that goes into love that I think tends to get maybe even like forgotten or like blurred out, because that's, for me, what really makes the love happen. That willingness of 2 people to show up and be respectful and support each other fully, value the other person instead of just desire them, you know? Like, where is the willingness to like move forward? To better explain this, if this isn't making sense, in my personal experience, I'm really guilty of just like, you know, if we're going through a rough patch between my partner and I, or whatever the situation is, whoever I'm dating, I try to love someone into loving me. And I've been guilty of that in the past. I want to say that I've gotten better, but I haven't been in that scenario in a while, so I don't know. I, in general, you know, like bump up the affection. Maybe I surprise them a little bit more. Maybe, you know, I'm just like upping the attention and affection, but those things don't necessarily equal love. And I think a lot of times it gets confusing, especially in this day and age where like our attention span is ridiculous with the internet and Instagram and everything. And so when we think that somebody is paying attention to us for more than 15 seconds or more than like, you know, the duration of a TikTok, we're like, oh my God, this is love. They love me. But like, they're just giving you attention. And so even in myself, like I said, I had to learn that like, you can't love someone into loving you. You can't change people, which is the umbrella of all the lessons really. There's no way that you can like start to love someone into being with you, or like shower them with these things, or like, you know, try to project basically what you're trying to get from them onto them. It leads to disappointment. Going right into the second one, the truth cannot be argued. And I'm actually stealing this from a book that I've been reading recently, The Journey to Co-Commitment. This book, y'all, has been dragging me left and right, and it's so good. And I put all my friends onto it because it's just like mind-blowing. I can personally say that I've definitely had codependency issues, and most of us probably have, and you don't even realize it. But I can definitely just admit that that's been a thing. What I mean by like the truth cannot be argued. So a lot of times when we get into these spats with people, we're like, you did this, so I feel this. And because you're this way, this is why the relationship isn't working, or whatever, right? Really easy to just do this blame thing. We talked about this in part 1. There's no end to blame. And once you start to take accountability and responsibility in the reality that you are creating and participating in, you will see a little bit clearer, like, oh, okay, I'm actually partaking and like enabling a lot of the things that are going on here. Maybe I should set a boundary or change something, or whatever, you know, the solution may look like for you. But the truth cannot be argued. So when you are saying that so-and-so is the reason why this is this, that's arguable, that's debatable. That other person can be like, I mean, that's not true. And that's how arguments happen, right? So not saying that with this piece of advice, I'll never have an argument with anyone ever again, but I think it's made me realize like, what is the why under that? Like, a lot of times we're just like, your fault or whatever, right? That's the easy dismissal thing. But like, really the truth under that is, okay, this situation makes me feel really scared because I feel like we're breaking up, or feel like I'm losing you, or I'm scared to be alone, or whatever that like harsh truth that maybe you don't want to say out loud is. Yeah, that one. Maybe, you know, get to that before you point a finger at somebody else, because most of the time, all of the time, there's really that like underlying truth that maybe is even something that happened when we were children. That's a whole other side note, but again, referring back to that book, just discusses so much how these little tiny subconscious patterns get locked away in our heads, and then we get into relationships as adults and we don't know why all of our relationships are failing. We don't understand it. And even me, another personal experience to share, infidelity has been a theme in a lot of the romantic relationships I've participated in. It's so easy to be like, men are trash, boys suck, whatever. But there's no accountability in that statement. There's zero. And I've recently, within the last like year or so, really been trying to unpack that, honestly, because a lot of these things happen when we're like children. You know, you might be having a blast, having fun as a kid, and then your mom or dad is like, hey, cut that out, stop it. So then I know it seems like so subtle, but now happiness is followed with fear, or like, oh shit, okay, I'm not supposed to be that happy right now in this environment. You know, we get restrained. So then in our adult relationships, we might self-sabotage. It might be going too well, and we're like, let's shake things up here a bit. There could be 1,000,001 ways that our childhood shows up in our adulthood, so I don't mean to like absolute anything there. But it is something to like think about and consider. And even for me, I've, like I said, been just trying to unpack this infidelity theme, because I'm like, what is the trust thing that happened when I was a child, or that I witnessed as a child? Still trying to figure that one out if anyone has any insights. But my, you know, that infidelity, the actual act of infidelity, isn't something that I grew up seeing or witnessing. So I think it's more of just like trusting is more of like the underlying tone of like infidelity, trusting others and feeling safe with others and feeling safe within myself and trusting myself. So I don't know, again, we don't want to make this 45 minutes, but know that there's like a deeper why. Like, I invite you to, the next time you're feeling this an emotion towards this person, why? Because they're annoying. Why? Because they always do this thing. Why? Like, really, it's you at the end of the day that is feeling the emotion. It's not them making you do anything, or they're not necessarily the cause. You're just reacting to the reality of something. But one of these techniques I really like to do in situations like that is keep asking myself why until I can't anymore. Like, why? Okay, why? Why? Why is that? Why is that? Until you literally are at the root, or as deep as you can go for right now, and pause there for the moment, you know, and kind of try to unpack what you can. But number 3, when you miss someone, you really only miss you. This is like a hard pill to swallow sometimes, because you're like, no, I just miss the way they laugh, and I miss the way they smile and the way they hold me. All of those things are kind of just surface. They're kind of just like, I'm not saying that person obviously doesn't like have a special quality to them in the way that they hold you and the way that they laugh and all that stuff. But a lot of times it's an attachment to the idea of someone, or fear of being alone, when we're really caught up in those little things. Because again, going back to that, like, it takes more than love to love someone. Getting caught up in those ideas kind of just leave you like really empty, you know, once that person leaves. That is the root of attachment, honestly, which that's where expectations live, and then disappointments happen, and you know, that's a whole thing in itself. A lot of times, it's not really them that you miss. It's the version of you that you were when you were with them. I've had to realize that. I've realized that a lot in my like early teen relationship, because I would, you know, you're just like, oh my God, I miss him so much. And then as I got older, I'm like, wow, I didn't really miss that person. I mean, I did miss that person, but really I miss this like flirty, fun, sexy, playful, like, you know, this nurturing side of me that came out when I was around that person. And it's true, a person might bring that out of you, you know, but you are capable of those tendencies and of those activities, of those traits. And so I think it's really important to bring those traits out when you are alone. Bring those traits out with your friends, with your family. Like, you can still be nurturing. You can surprise people with gifts. You can be really loving. You can be really motivating. I think for me, that's like a big shift I've had in the last 2 to 3 years, is like that same energy that I tended to pour into my partners. Again, going back to codependency, starting to, one, pour it into myself and really show up for me the same way I do for them, as well as to my platonic relationships and to my family, has made it more of just a universal thing. Like, so easy to compartmentalize and just be like, okay, this is for romance only. But like, it doesn't have to be. That same love can show up in multiple ways. That same willingness can show up in multiple ways. The same respect, the same value, the same support can show up in a bunch of different ways. I'm like kind of a little annoyed because I feel like I was dropping gems yesterday, and I feel like I don't know if they're coming through in this video. But anyway, number 4, trust yourself and listen to your gut. Detoxify it first before you listen to it though. And this is all one, but voice your mind every single time. Don't ever not speak your mind. Do I have to say it again? Don't ever not speak your mind. I know there is a sense of like choosing your battles, don't get me wrong. But honestly, I'm finding within my dynamics of friendships and relationships and whatever in the last few years, the more and more you just say it, you just fucking say it. And again, not in a projection way, more of just like a truthful, like, okay, right now I am feeling really scared, or I am feeling really annoyed, or this situation reminds me of a childhood scenario that I had with my brother or my father or whatever. Really just being honest with yourself and with others brings you so much closer. I can't tell you how many times I've just like, no, I just won't say it. No, I'm just too, no, it'll just be a whole problem. I don't really want to bring that up. And it might not be the most pretty scenario, but I promise you, if the willingness, again, the willingness, that's like a big part of love, in my opinion, and support. Willingness, support, respect, and I want to say like value, because I think desire and value aren't the same thing. And value in a non-attached, non-suffocating way, you know, just value and cherish and show gratitude for this person. Basically what I'm saying is the more that I just voiced those tiny little moments, gosh, it just was such a relief, you know? It's so easy to store those away, and then they become resentment, and then they come out in some form in another way. And you're thinking it's because he's doing this, when really it's like this stored up anger that was from like 3 months ago that you just never talked about. And even if it's those subtle little things, they add up. So every single time, voice your mind. Trust yourself. And when I say trust yourself, I mean like trust yourself in voicing your mind. Like trust that if this space doesn't allow you to honestly voice your mind and your feelings, and like I said, in a respectful way and in a truthful, honest way that you do it, not in a like, well, I'm annoyed right now. Like, no, well, that's not really helping anybody with that. You know, like consciously communicating so that somebody can consciously comprehend. There's two parts to communicating, like talking, yeah, but like they gotta comprehend as well. If you're frustrated why this person doesn't understand you, maybe you're not making it comprehensible. I think the blame game, I'm guilty of it, but it's just so funny to look at, you know? It's so, when you're not in that scenario and you're looking at it, you're like, how are you blaming this whole thing on this other person? You have no parts in it? None? So yeah, trust yourself in voicing, you know, this makes me happy, this doesn't make me happy, I don't like when you do this, I do like when you do this. Every single time I have trusted myself and listened to my intuition, especially as women, like we were born with this trait where we just be knowing, okay? It's just like your mom, she just be knowing. You know how moms just be knowing. Man, embrace that. Listen to it. That little whisper that goes off in your head, it's there for a reason. Last one, fifth one, best one. Keep your business yours. Keep your business yours. No need to go to Instagram. No need to go to Twitter. No need to even go to like a lot of your close friends. Honestly, these are all lessons in my personal life, so I don't know why I keep disclaiming this. But in my personal experience, I've had a like learning curve with that. I'm really good at confiding in others and like opening up maybe a little bit too much and sharing a little bit too much. I just don't think it was even necessary because the only two people that will ever truly understand the scenario are the two people in it. Now, I think there is a value in having maybe one or two close confidants or someone that you can really trust will give you raw, honest truth and not just like gaslight you, you know, like someone that's really trying to support you with the best interest at heart. I think that's okay. But even still, like having a limit to that, because it's like we're all in one big movie and the way my character looks to this person is gonna look way different than it looks to that person. Like that's just how it's gonna look. Anyone else is only gonna understand the scenario up until a certain point. But I also just have to say, I think there is valuable moments where you do need just like fresh eyes on a scenario because maybe you've been staring at it too long and you're like, okay, am I tripping? But I think like trying to handle it on your own and with your partner first before just like dumping this onto somebody else or like just venting to somebody else and then looking crazy an hour later when you've made up with your partner, because I can't tell you how many times I've done that. That used to happen to me mainly back in like high school where I would just be like telling all my friends, this dude's trash, he's whatever, he's the worst. And then I'm on my way to his house. So who looks dumb now? So privacy is the best policy, secrecy is not. And I have to mention this in here. Actually, it just came to my mind. Another theme that I've experienced in some of my relationships, not all of them, but is a sense of secrecy or low-key. We no longer accept that. Now here's the thing, I don't need everybody to be in our business, but there is a difference between privacy and secrecy. And so if somebody is hiding you or downplaying what it is you share, or you know, you're only affectionate or whatever it is, sharing intimate moments in private, no affection, no interest in you when you're out in public or with your group of friends or whatever, I'm gonna call a flag on the play and just say that maybe you need to reevaluate. But if you're okay with that scenario, then by all means, whatever. But if you are desiring a monogamous relationship, a traditional one, then maybe not the thing. I personally have been in that scenario. It just doesn't feel good. It goes back to that value thing, you know, like, are you valuing my time and energy and effort that I am putting in here and my willingness? And if you're only compartmentalizing it and valuing it only in this space that feels best for you, then I feel like we need to find a better compromise here where we're both happy. Okay, I think that's all. I hope this video was helpful. I would love to hear more of your love lessons. I could write a book on this one day. I feel like there could be like 8 parts to this, because obviously I'm still learning and I haven't mastered anything, but these are just some of the lessons that I am so grateful that I've learned, and I'm so grateful to be able to share. All in all, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new here, please subscribe. What's up? Give me a like, share it up. Let me know where you're from, who you are, something. Until next time though, guys, peace.
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry.